On the southwest coast of Africa lies the oldest desert on our planet. Geographically, she covers a vast area consisting of gravel plains, rocky desert, and salt pans. Central to that lies the true desert, sand sea, an area of continually moving sand and shifting dunes, stretching for almost 600 miles. The highest freestanding dunes in the world, massive mountains of sand towering up to 1,200 feet from base to meandering tip, are formed here by the incessant winds. Even the Sahara, the undisputable king of deserts, pales in comparison. Here, sand and wind reign sovereign and sculpture her wilderness in desolate vistas. This is the Namib Desert, a strange and wild place of contrasts, arguably the most beautiful desert in the world. Very few world firsts remain today. To date, more than 1,300 people have stood on the summit of Mount Everest. None has ever survived crossing this desert. On foot, solo, unsupported. It would be a race against time and all odds. To raise awareness for AIDS orphans in Africa, one man set on foot to traverse the Namib Sand Sea from south to north solo. Unsupported, with only a handheld compass and stars to navigate by. International experts on survival agreed. Without support, it could not be done. 4 days without water means death. Equate this to running an ultramarathon consecutively for 18 days with an 80-pound backpack. Over thousands of dunes up to a quarter-mile high while sinking to the knees in loose sand. Exposed to extreme temperature variances, with only water in your backpack and no solids to eat. The price for failure? Certain death. Diamonds were discovered in the Namib at the turn of the century. Mining concessions were stocked by ox wagons, the only mode of transport through the thick sand. The area was sealed off to the outside world and became known as the Speergebied. Trespassers could be shot on sight. As the diamond market got saturated, many of those outposts became ghost towns, unknown and unvisited by humans from the outside world. Memories might fade, but the sand marches relentlessly on, sandblasting wood and metal alike to paper thin and then oblivion. For good reason, the coastal region of the Namib is known as the Skeleton Coast. It is a name derived not only from the numerous shipwrecks, but also from the bones of thousands of hapless sailors and famous adventurers who disappeared here without a trace. It remains a place of death, hardship, and suffering for those foolish or desperate enough to dare to challenge her in search of the fabled wealth she covers under her persistent veil of fog and sand. It is all about mindset, taking and handling one step at a time. Never panic. Basic rules of survival. Staying cool, calm, collected. Yet here, nothing is as it seems. compasses spin dizzyingly as a result of the mineral composition of the sand. Quicksands await the unwary. Planes, ships, and people disappear without a trace. Each of the hundreds of shipwrecks on this coast tells its own story of heroism, treachery, and tragedy. Together with seal colonies and lone jackal, they punctuate this ghostly coastline. Pinpricks against this majestic and awe-inspiring ocean of sand and stone, a petrified continuation of the savage waves of the South Atlantic. Yet even here, a newborn seal pup faces the day and its dangers with the curiosity of a child. Pristine beaches lay ankle-deep in beautiful shells, for years untouched by human footprints. In sparkling tidal rock pools, colorful seaweed sweeps with the ebb and flow of the tides. A variety of shellfish species live in the intertidal zone, each with its own ingenious ways to stay alive. Their immediate predators are never far behind. Gulls dig up the well-protected prey and ascend to some height before dropping the unfortunate bivalves in the hope of cracking the hard shell for an instant tasty morsel. The marathon continues through sunset after sunset, bitter cold alternating scorching heat. Black cormorants settle on lone shipwrecks, staying out of reach of prowling predators. Here the call of the elusive strand wolf or brown hyena echoes mostly unheard by human ears at night. Only an estimated 700 survive today. These strange-looking, huge and powerful hyenas supplement their liquid needs by killing seals, feeding on the brain exclusively. They would follow the walker closely at night, not a comfortable feeling. The lone walker does his own unintended scaring too, as this jackal that had probably never seen a human before demonstrates. At 600 pounds, the gemsbuck is the largest land mammal in the world capable of surviving without surface water. A few species of scarabs adapt by seeking shelter underground from the heat. And of course, the carnivorous ground cricket exists in almost any climate in the world. Unbelievably, even butterflies live in the desert. But for the African monarch, however, beauty is only skin deep, as it is poisonous. Some evenings, the setting sun would show off the Namib's awesome, breathtaking vistas, hitting home like a punch to the stomach. As an encore, the sky becomes tinged crimson by the wings of squadrons of the greater flamingo, and the phrase, "on wings of fire," gets true meaning. At the nesting grounds, sheer cliffs facing the gray Atlantic, cormorants heave and turn in the updrafts in an age-old, unapplauded pirouettes. Discovering a well dug by some diamond outfit many years ago brings hope and temporary relief, but the water turns out to be salty and unpalatable. The days of unrelentless strain are beginning to show. Face and hands are swollen from water retention and the onslaught of the sun. More than 100 miles to go. His exact location uncertain. Pulling out the map becomes a mere psychological boost. With less than 5 liters of water remaining, the situation is getting dire. A strong headwind springs up, threatening the start of the dreaded east weather, a severe sandstorm capable of lasting up to 2 weeks. Should that happen, his luck would finally run out. A famous man once said, "I would much rather die of sheer exhaustion than sheer boredom." Is it a pity that most of us never face that kind of dilemma? Triumph in the end for him, and also for thousands of children that face pain and death daily, at an age where most of us know nothing but innocence. He does these things not to help them, but to help most of us who never had to deal with that, and to remind those who had. Unknown to all at the time, the international news coverage, with more than 50 million viewers in Africa alone, would reverberate as far as London in the UK and spark an official search party into the desert many months later. A direct result of stumbling upon wreckage of an airplane that disappeared there without trace 10 years before. In spite of one of the biggest air-sea rescue searches ever launched in the southern hemisphere at the time, no trace was ever found.